Yo, 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 what is going on, everyone? As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. I figured we would do a live stream as the market is bouncing back, but I have a lot of things to talk about, specifically, an urgent warning ahead because, guys, the moment is here. Like, we are seeing Bitcoin, scoop down to those lows, have that nice impulse up. It is time to put in a higher low on Bitcoin. In fact, we actually already have, but now we are looking for that higher low around the 42 to roughly 44K range. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be addressing it. On the 24-hour span, we are seeing a lot of altcoins jumping out, specifically Dogecoin. Of course, if you guys didn't hear the news, Elon Musk basically bought Twitter. I love the fact that there's already a token named Elon buys Twitter, and it's already up 2,229%. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, honestly, these are the types of tokens that, when things like this happen, everyone's going to capitalize on it. Obviously, do not buy this, but I'm just saying it's just funny to me that there's still like people making these massive meme coins at like the perfect times. It's funny, but on the 24-hour span, we are also seeing some other altcoins kind of jumping out. We've been seeing a lot of strength around the altcoin market, specifically on the 7-day span. You can kind of see that as well. ApeCoin was up 53%, Kava up 28%, Curve up 26%. It's pretty significant. Now, I did tweet out a few things today. First off, the one thing is clear to me, and that is CT, aka Crypto Twitter, will be bullish at resistance and bearish at support. It never ceases to surprise me. This is what I was saying even, last week. Like, everyone was still very, very, bullish on, some sorts of crypto, more so like altcoins. But I was a little bit skeptical as we were nearing, resistance zones, and we also seen stocks kind of, slowing down in terms of momentum, but also the dollar. I've been addressing the dollar for a while, and yes, we are still at critical levels on the dollar. We're going to be talking about that. But in terms of Bitcoin, this looks very good on the overall macro charts, which I could show you guys here shortly. But even on a 3-month span, going back as far as January, we do see those higher lows still being put in place. Even on this, low that we just recently hit, we are still looking, very good in terms of strength. Now, I also tweeted out, and we're going to be talking about this because a few people were kind of confused. I said I'm happy that Hbar dipped slightly lower than I anticipated because it only pushed the macro fib extensions higher. If you know, you basically know. Now, we're going to be talking about that, but first, I do want to address the indices. So today, we actually seen a very good bounce on these from yesterday's low. If you guys missed it, we basically had, or not yesterday, Friday's low, sorry. We had a massive crash along the boards for the indices. The Dow Jones closed, I think it was like negative 1,000 points almost. It was pretty rough, and everyone thought, hey, this is the start of the downfall. The bubble has bursted in terms of stocks. We're going into a bear market along the boards. Everybody was panicking. Again, I don't really see the need to panic when a lot of these, assets, or I shouldn't say assets, but indices are at major support levels on the macro view, and even assets within crypto are at, major support zones. And we're going to be addressing that here shortly. But indices did look pretty good today. I'm going to be watching these three, as we do kind of move out throughout the week. Specifically, the Dow Jones is what I'm going to be keeping a closer eye out on. I'm not going to be watching the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ too much, but this is also what I have been really kind of addressing in terms of support. Like, we're still putting in higher lows even on the Dow Jones, which is, comical. Again, when we look at this in terms of the fib outreaches, you guys can see that we slightly wicked a little bit below support just recently at around that 236. But this looks pretty strong. And we've done this before, by the way, even going back as far as January. I know that that's not a good, sort of, area to look at. But we have been seeing this before as well, on the charts, which is still, pretty good. I would say that the strength on the Dow Jones still looks very strong. And in regards to altcoins, we are still looking pretty good in terms of altcoin dominance as well as the total too. Now, I also want to share with you guys an interesting chart that I've seen from Tech Dev. Shout out to Tech Dev. But he's talking more so about tether dominance. We do see a weekly looking remittance, reminiscent. I can't even talk right now, but of the 2021 Bitcoin distribution top, if this rolls over, crypto pumps. And we actually see that in regards to November, we do see November compared to, Bitcoin on the charts here. Here is November of the USDT chart in terms of dominance, and then also Bitcoin over here. During this time, Bitcoin did spike slightly in price, and when I say slightly, I mean it actually went pretty parabolic. Now, this is 2021, by the way. Or 2020 into 2021. This isn't 2021's time frame, by the way. But you guys do see this massive spike in price, and we currently see this happening right now with USDT dominance. In terms of stablecoin dominance, it just means individuals are actually investing their stablecoins into crypto, meaning a lot more money is actually flowing into crypto assets than individuals holding, stablecoins. Similar to like the dollar, right? When we do see the dollar falling, it means individuals jumping out of stablecoins and into risk on assets, more so, focusing on, stocks and crypto. That's when we will see, a lot of capital flowing into these markets. And also, in terms of Bitcoin, which is another reason why I haven't been bearish at all on Bitcoin. Everyone is not looking at the overall insights within Bitcoin. Everyone's just focused on price and price action alone. But when you look at the metrics behind it, we see here, in the 6+ months leading up to the last 2 major bear market capitulation events, we saw large amounts of Bitcoin moving to the exchanges, and we do see that in the bear markets of 2014 all the way to around roughly 2015's bottom, before, of course, the next major, bull market started. And then we also see the 2018 topping point into 2019. When we look at this and we kind of compare and contrast to what we are seeing now, we're actually seeing, a lot of Bitcoin not moving. We've actually been seeing a lot of, dormant Bitcoin just sitting there. And we have been hitting all-time highs in terms of those numbers since we pumped all the way to 40K. Which is very significant. It's crazy that the on-chain data is extremely bullish, as everyone is still very bearish and everyone is still thinking that we are in a bear market. But we do see, in the last 6+ months leading up to the last 2 major bear markets, this was at the highest points in terms of exchange net position changes on all exchanges. And we are actually seeing the complete opposite, which tells me that Bitcoin is still in a bull market. And I've been addressing Bitcoin's, overall top. If we see Bitcoin, I'm telling you right now, if we see Bitcoin over 50+ K within, I would say, the next week and a half, that's going to be very bullish. And we're going to be seeing a lot of individuals saying, hey, Bitcoin to 100K, Bitcoin to 200K, Bitcoin to this. I still have my target set on Bitcoin to roughly around 120 to 160K. A lot of people continuously tell me, hey, Bitcoin already topped, Bitcoin's this. Everyone thinks that Bitcoin has already topped, which tells me the complete opposite is going to happen with Bitcoin. Now, also, in regards to, my first tweet, right, when I was talking to you guys about, everyone is still very bearish at, support and bullish at resistance. Yeah, here you have that. This is, crypto Twitter logic versus reality. We see bear market, bull market, bear market, bull market. Like in 2020 and in 2021, we had so many bear markets. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's comical if we were going off of course, crypto Twitter. But here's the actual reality of the, Bitcoin bull market. We have been putting in higher lows since going back as far as 2020, and even going back as far as like March of 2020 to now, everyone still thinks that the, bull run is over because Bitcoin has gone from these, astronomically low numbers to these higher numbers because, again, crypto can't continuously pump to these astronomical, higher numbers because, again, the returns are diminished on Bitcoin. But that's where everyone is kind of, wrong, I would say. Like when you look at, the money flowing into this market, we are still very early in crypto. There's still not a lot of institutional demand flowing into the space because of regulations holding them back. So when we take a look at, for an example, Bitcoin right now currently, those diminished returns that everyone's talking about, I actually think is going to be flipped. I think that we're going to see a lot more returns. Obviously, it's not going to be the same from like Bitcoin's original days to its all-time highs, but I think that we're going to see a little bit of a change in terms of how much capital actually flows into Bitcoin as more and more ETFs launch, as well as more regulations around this space kind of grow and be ushered in. But I do still think Bitcoin is in a bull market, and it's the idea that we have been making massive higher lows continuously, month after month and even year after year now. In terms of the dollar, though, so like I said, the major critical factor to crypto right now has always been the dollar. I've been addressing the dollar for a while now, and I'm sure that a lot of you are probably annoyed now with how much I actually talk about the dollar. But the reason why I'm talking about the dollar a lot is because economically, this is going to be a big leading factor to money actually flowing into risk on assets. We've seen this even during March of 2020, right? When this actually topped out, we've seen a major demand around stocks and crypto. In fact, crypto went on a multi-year bull run, and we are still within that time frame on the bull run. Everyone still thinks bear market, but hey, when we look at the dollar, I would say that the dollar in terms of strength has kind of stifled the movement within risk on assets, and we've actually even seen this in terms of stocks. When this actually tops out, which like I've said, we are nearing our local top. If this tops out within this month, by the end of this month, May is going to look extremely beautiful. And I actually have this topping point at around like May 16th. If we kind of continue this path and we top out around May 16th, it's going to be something pretty significant. But this could happen sooner than expected. It could happen even later. But I am watching this chart because this is going to be the golden chart to watch when this starts to flip. And I've always said, take a look at the inverted scale. What does this look like to you? Even in the past, when you look at the overall structure, okay, compare it to even February 2018, okay, to now. This went on a massive run since 2018 February to March of 2020 before this collapsed. We are currently running from January 2021 to right now, April of 2022. So it's a very similar chart pattern comparing it to this time frame, and we've seen this even in the past when this really did rally. I would say that this is nearing the stage to the point where it does kind of turn over and fall. And when that happens, prepare yourselves because crypto is going to skyrocket in value. And it's not me giving you guys hopium. It's the fact that when you look at the economics behind the dollar dropping in value compared to risk on asset overall confidence, we are going to see a lot of buyer demand behind these risk on asset classes, and we are going to also see a major demand around them. So I'm going to be watching that value flow in. Now, with my tweet talking about Hbar going lower and why that was actually bullish for those Hbarbarians that are watching currently, this is why. So originally we were going off of the other lows on this chart, which was like around, roughly this time frame of January, which was our major low. I mean, recently we did make a little bit of a lower low, which told me that we were kind of going lower. But this was the original fib scale. Now, this original fib scale on the, the few outreaches that I had up here, which my targets were around like 187 roughly to $2 in terms of conservative ranges. Again, my targets have always been $3 to $6 on Hbar by the end of the bull run. Now we have a little bit of a lower low that we put into place on Hbar, which made everyone again bearish. But we kind of see those targets being pushed higher. Every single time that this actually drops to lower, these targets do get pushed higher. Now, this is going off of the current structure. And I kind of, showed you guys where we were in terms of going off of like the summertime lows or even going off of like, the March of 2020 lows, which I'm not going to go all the way back to the March of 2020 lows because if we did, we would actually go much higher. Like for an example, I could kind of show you guys that real quick going off of those lows. So this would be the last fib outreaches to roughly almost $3. This is something that I have been kind of watching as well in terms of my Hbar targets. Like, I kind of compare and contrast HBAR to other altcoins and their altcoin runs, more so like ADA, Solana, etc. Everyone still thinks that HBAR is basically like a dead token and that's not going to move, which I kind of love that mentality around HBAR. I still think that $3 to $6 is, a very strong level. But if we are going off of the conservative ranges on HBAR, it would be more so around like the $2 range to like roughly $2.50 if we were kind of going off of some of these lows, even going back as far as like January. But if you are going off of like the current low that we just put into place on HBAR, you're looking at a little bit, more conservative at around like almost $2 to like $2.07. But I still foresee HBAR having an incredible, year ahead. And when we talk about a lot of these altcoins, like even Casper, XRP, XLM, etc., their fib outreaches take them pretty high, and the ROI potential is still fairly significant. I mean, even right now, off of HBAR to $2, it would be a 10x opportunity, which is very good. I think a lot of people in crypto kind of get stuck in the idea on like if they're not 100xing or 1000xing their investment, it's just a lost cause. But that is not the case at all. But a lot of altcoins have been, putting in some higher lows. HBAR is one that actually put in a lower low. But even XRP off of the January timeframe, this followed with a higher low to February, followed by yet another higher low to April. So the structure of XRP still looks very good, and I would say the integrity of the chart is actually fairly strong. And when we look at those fib outreaches, again, we look at those higher outreaches on this chart, more so to like around like the 4,236 to the 4,618. Again, I'm a little bit more conservative on XRP to like around like $10 to $15 within this range of like almost the 2,618 to roughly like the 4,236. It's like in between the 4,236 and the 4,618. But I would say that XRP looks very, very strong. Especially even with the recent, delay in the, case. I think it just allows for, individuals to kind of jump out in the weekends to, get out. But it's a shakeout. I mean, when we take a look at patience in this space, we know the easiest way to shake out individuals, more so weak hands, is just patience. Individuals just don't have patience with finance. It's comical. Now, also, XLM, very similar chart to XRP in the sense, like, I have this target of 24 cents for us to actually break on XLM. We got very close to it, but so did XRP. XRP's target here is like roughly almost 92 cents to break out and have that nice, gorgeous run to like $1.40. That level is still very strong, and we've hit it 3 times recently. Once we do hit that again, I'm looking for a clean break above it, but same with XLM. XLM and XRP are both very strong altcoins right now to really kind of look at and pay attention. I would say when we talked about XRP before the case got delayed, right? I think that we were nearing that breakout point. And that kind of goes back here to like the beginning of April, more so like around March. I said like we were hitting this resistance point. So it's kind of, a risky point to buy at around, or sorry, I was on XLM. Here's XRP. So it was like still around the same point of like March into April. I was saying like around this point, everyone was saying that XRP is going to break over and go to like $2 and things like that. Everyone was making bullish charts where they were just putting, a vertical line on the chart. That's like the time to kind of de-risk a little bit, possibly even short it slightly. Of course, I'm not telling you guys to short XRP at any point in time. I'm just saying like when everyone gets bullish or even when everyone gets bearish, kind of think the opposite. And I've noticed that this is actually a pretty significant pattern to watch for in crypto, but it's also a pattern to watch for anywhere. Like when anyone is, an investor by themselves, and you're basically playing it by yourself and you're listening to everyone else, the chances of you losing are very high. That's why you have to play it, within your own opinion and really kind of do the opposite of what everyone else is telling you, because usually at that point in time, that's the significant, moment in time to really make it yourself. When someone's telling you that XRP is going, to $10 once we kind of start this vertical uphill battle, and you're like, all right, well, I got to buy in right now, you're only doing yourself, a very, very bad decision, because it's going to make, you FOMO in at these highs when this is something that's going to happen right after. So definitely play it into your own, sort of position. See where you are economically. If you can invest to put some more money in, then that's totally fine. But I would say kind of do the opposite of what everyone's telling you in this market, because I've noticed that pattern play out so many times in this market. Even during, the highs in September, I remember everyone saying, this is it. We're going to the all-time highs. Look at what ended up happening after. Massive downtrend. So again, kind of just do things your own. Don't listen to too much, noise on Twitter. I've seen it all the time. I actually made a video on this as well. But let's move on to QNT. So in terms of QNT, we've actually dipped pretty low, but we tested those major support zones going back as far as like February, and even, recently February 27th, which is actually a pretty good level to, test. I would say that the major support zones is still around that 105 area, which is also the area that I've told you guys that we could most likely test multiple times. I have been watching and addressing that level, slightly here and there on QNT. I still think that, Quant's going to have a beautiful year ahead, but a lot of these altcoins are still targeting this 200-day, EMA, which currently Quant is at $146. XLM is at roughly almost 24.5 cents. XRP at roughly almost 82 cents. Hbar at 20, almost 5 cents. Once these altcoins break out of this 200-day EMA, that's when everyone should actually get excited. That's where you really kind of want to say, okay, I'm watching now, because that's where the significant, point of altcoins really kind of breaking to the upside begin. Now, with this in mind, talking about altcoins, and this is where I'm going to wrap up the video here, or the live stream, the others dominance. So this is actually showing you guys the strength of altcoins compared to Bitcoin. You guys can kind of see a pattern here. We've had these slight wicks below the 200-day EMA, which is actually at 15.86%. When we look at this and we kind of compare and contrast it, even going back as far as like June 21st, we've had slight breaks below, but for the most part, we have, really kind of held on to the 200-day EMA. This is actually showing me a lot of strength in terms of the altcoin market. The total 2 has also been showing us this as well. We put into, a little bit of a higher low here since going back as far as like even February. I know, the January low actually got broken down slightly on that February low, but since then we have been putting in higher lows even in March and now even in April. If this continues, we will break out of that 200-day EMA. And I know that we recently broke out of it, but we hit resistance at the next fib level, which is the 618. A clean break above the $1.28 trillion level is where we really want to see our altcoins really shine. That's where we will see breaks above, most likely, the 200-day EMAs on some charts. Of course, we have to watch, at that point in time where they currently are positioned. But I would say right now, in terms of the altcoin market, alts look very strong, but we are still watching Bitcoin closely because Bitcoin still looks fairly strong as well, even in comparison to the stock market, because I know that a lot of people have been saying that, Bitcoin has been following closely with, stocks, which, I mean, it technically has, but in terms of, Bitcoin, we came down and tested those, nice lows going back as far as like August. And this still looks very, very good. A floor is being built for Bitcoin, similar to the structure of August before we went on this nice impulsive move to the all-time highs. This is also why I've been saying when we look at, Bitcoin closely here, we are waiting for that nice impulsive move to the upside where we do also break the 200-day EMA, which is at 44K. And this is also where I do foresee us kind of rejecting off of the 44K zone, putting in that higher low at roughly like the 42K zone, kind of that floor model that we've seen at around like the April timeframe before we did break down. And then that will kind of put us into a nice position to have that nice impulsive move above 48K, targeting the 618 at about roughly 53.6K. And then from there, we kind of watch to see if we are going to retest the all-time high and break above it or hit resistance, which will kind of tell us, hey, let's pay attention to the Bitcoin dominance and let's kind of watch our altcoins to see if we are going to have that massive alt season run. So I would say The moment that we've been waiting for is here. And that moment is the idea on, is Bitcoin going to hold these fib levels? And it looks like we have held very strong at that 236. I would say the close tonight is looking pretty good for Bitcoin. If we can break over that 10-day EMA at roughly 40.3K and hold above it to target the next EMAs, that's going to be pretty good. But I'm not going to get bullish just yet until we break over 44K. It's a very similar, resistance zone that we've been kind of targeting since going back as far as February. Recently we did break up above it. We hit 48K, and then we kind of just turned on our side and died. So I'm watching that 44K zone closely to see if we could retest that 48K zone, which during this time we should see altcoins kind of going on a nice run. I have been paying attention to a few. I just told you guys about Chrom recently. Chrom is actually having a nice pullback. I most likely will be entering in on Chrom, so I did not mean to click Etner or Eterna. I don't even know. I never even heard of this coin. But I have been watching Chromatica very closely. We are having a very strong pullback. I just told you guys on Twitter, I'm watching to see if we can retest that 11-cent zone, which looks like it could be a possibility. This is where the floor has been built for Chrom. If we retest this zone, this is going to be a perfect entry. And this is a very bullish altcoin. Just so that you guys know, I have been watching this one closely in terms of, basically gasless and very quick swaps on Uniswap. This is going to be pretty interesting if we can see this really kind of come down and test this, because this is only on Uniswap and BK Exchange. So once this does get listed, this is going to be a pretty significant one to watch. So but with that being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this video and this live stream. I'm gonna chill here and read the chat real quick and really kind of talk to you guys for a little bit, because it's been a very long time since I've actually live streamed and chatted with you guys for a little bit. So first off, Island Lopez, I'm hoping that I'm saying that name right. Not going to lie, your channel is my favorite to get my information. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that greatly. What did I miss, Zachary? Not much. Honestly, I'm going to be uploading this and making it live here shortly. Noise, how high will Casper go by the Christmas time? Honestly, I am not, a wizard. I can't tell you exactly the targets, but I have been watching Casper closely. My targets are still roughly around, the conservative range targets are $1 and 50 cents to $2.50, with some higher targets being roughly in the $4 to $7 range. Thanks for the intel, Nick. No problem, man. I appreciate it. Will Casper test lower numbers in the short term, looking to get in at around 5 to 6 cents? I think that a lot of those targets are basically gone in terms of Casper, and I don't mean that to, kind of tell you, hey, you missed the boat. I'm just saying, in general, when we look at, Casper recently on this test of the low, we tested some pretty significant lows going back as far as roughly the August timeframe floor, and the major support that we actually grasped on, which is at the bottom of these candle wicks, is a little bit of a support zone going back as far as February, this floor here that we kind of built, and even the March demand zone. So I would say at around this point that we just hit recently is most likely going to be our bottoming point. I haven't been looking at the volume here, so let me check out the volume on Casper as well as the RSI, and I can kind of give you a little bit of a better sort of view here. So the RSI is still, a little bit bearish, but it looks like we are seeing a nice little impulse here. Similar impulses in the past kind of still resulted in downtrend though. So I would say if we do, trail down a little bit or slightly here, prepare for a test of roughly 6.5 cents or a roughly, test of almost 7 cents exact. But I would say, Casper still looks very strong. There's not a lot of volume here, so, you might get a slight wick down to possibly 6 cents. It all depends, though, because it looks like we are, still around this support zone of this candle in March, which was roughly at around 8 cents, almost 7 cents exact. So I think that when we look at Casper and we look at the current chart, it still looks pretty strong. What do you think about VRA? I haven't really looked at VRA, too much. I haven't really done too much research on it. Which has more potential, XSP or Chrom? I would say, The Crom team is really focused on their project. I would say in terms of ROI, maybe Crom because it has a lot less market cap and it's not listed really anywhere. Like XSP already got listed on Bitrue and things. So I would say Crom is a little bit better of a project. But XSP also looks like it's going to deliver pretty well this year as well. Come on, Casper, hurry up and pump. Oh my God, live screen wasn't ready. What's going on, Dan Smith? I don't know if you guys are still here. If everyone's still in the chat, I want you guys to drop down in the comments or so. Let's say to the moon. I want to hear from you guys. Message in the chat saying to the moon. Sick of sleeping in this moon suit on. Let's go. Yeah, honestly, I mean, like, dude, I've just been like kind of watching the charts. The charts look very slow, very boring. That boring sideways momentum. But honestly, that sideways momentum is like the best point to really kind of watch the market closely and accumulate. How about Hbar? Will it do well? Yes, I honestly I've been seeing a lot of FUD and a lot of negative responses around Hbar. I just don't see the reason why. I still think that Hbar is going to deliver greatly this year. Same with like QNT, same with a lot of tokens. Like we've actually just seen Mark Wood mention CVC. CVC and a lot of my other USDC positions were very good buys at around the 2021 timeframe. CVC got listed at around like November on well, actually, no. This is the USDC chart. Sorry. Here we have it. Let me get rid of a lot of these lines because I know that this has been a while since I've actually charted this coin. So let me actually kind of address this and look at this. So CVC or Civic is actually a pretty interesting altcoin. So with a lot of the USDC coins going parabolic a little bit, this has been one that I've actually been watching for, especially in terms of the lows that it recently tested in the beginning of 2022, because it did test lows going back as far as like May and even July. Now this followed with a nice run in September to roughly almost $1. This thing was at the time of like DNT, Mana. If you guys know Mana, Decentraland, Decentraland was also one to really kind of get into at around like the November timeframe. A lot of these USDC tokens were looked at as like, these are going parabolic. If you guys know me, if you guys have been a long-term fan of the channel, you probably know about Loom. At this time, like everyone thought that Loom was going to go to like $1. It was going to be like the next big thing. I talked about Loom a lot. But when we look at CVC, the interesting thing is that off of these highs, because this actually jumped out a little bit, off of these highs to the current lows from the 2022 timeframe, this thing could actually go pretty high. So the fib outreaches would take this thing to a roughly almost $3 to almost $4 range. If that is the case from our current level, that's like over a 10x again. So a lot of these altcoins look very strong. I would say, just kind of do a little bit more research on these USDC tokens on Coinbase, but CVC was one that I was really watching for in 2021. So what do you think about Elon buying Twitter, and do you still think Shiba Inu is bad? Yeah. I think that, Elon buying Twitter it's like just one of those like hype moments where everyone is like, so hyped up about it. They think that, okay, Elon just bought Twitter, so now like crypto's going to go skyrocketing. I just think that that is like an illogical way to look at it. I think that it's, cool. It's like whatever, more power to them. In general on Shiba Inu, I just don't really touch a lot of, meme tokens. I think buying Dogecoin before, this really kind of, happened, I think that that was like the best position that you could probably get into because, of course, the Doge community loves Elon, so they probably think that this is going to be something where he, introduces Dogecoin to Twitter or changes like the Twitter logo to like the Dogecoin logo or something like that. I just been seeing a lot of, crazy things around that. So yeah. What do you think of Jasmine NK? I haven't really looked at Jasmine, but I know that it's been getting a lot of publicity. I've seen a lot of people mention it. Awesome job, my man. No problem, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. To the moon from the UK. Hey, welcome to the live stream. What's your take on ApeCoin? Um, I just my thing on ApeCoin is like it's just another speculative, like hyped up token. I mean, I'm not taking a position on it. I just don't feel the need to take a position on it. Do I think that it could, pump? Could it? Do I think that it can go to, these massive high numbers? Honestly, anything's possible. But when we look at, ApeCoin, how much higher can it really go, in terms of like, positioning in this market, right? Because even the market cap is fairly high. So I would say, in terms of like ROI, similar to what Vibra Finance CEO is saying, there's way better opportunities. I just think that ROI potential is just limited on ApeCoin. Well, XRP dropped to 50 cents. Yeah, you see, like that's like XRP to 50 cents. I've also been seeing that being talked about a lot, and I would say that the lowest this actually goes is probably about like 62 cents. It's either 62 cents or we retest this floor that we built, which is at like almost 60 cents still. So within that range, I think is the lowest point that we go on XRP. So yeah. Let me see. $2 Hbar is a 10x, not for those that bought at 25 to 45 cents. Yeah, I mean it's not. But I've always said like $3 to $6 is still the, target points for me. But any gains is any gains. I mean, think about it like this, right? Even at $2, you are still like 8x in your money at 25 cents. So it's still a very good, level to really kind of look at in terms of $2 for profit taking. Not only that, but profit is profit. You could always swing trade those profits back into another altcoin, or even like reinvest in the bear market and turn like whatever you were going to invest into some massive wealth. My Q&T news, please, or any Q&T news, please. I'll probably be doing a Q&T video tomorrow, for you. I'll probably include like a lot of the ISO 222 tokens. To the moon, and thank you from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Hey, welcome to the channel, Robert. To the moon, CVC, CoinView Cap. What do you think about Gamium or Gamium, GMM? I really haven't looked into it. Too late for ApeCoin. Wait, better opportunities. Any updates on XSwap? I haven't really been paying attention too much to XSwap. I know that their launch was a little, it was a little wacky. Like, I couldn't really get onto their app. It was like kind of weird for me. But I mean, like besides that, I haven't really been seeing too much. I'm just waiting for a listing for XSwap. What's your take on Quant? I mean, hey, I've been talking about Quant for a very long time. Quant is probably, I would say Quant is probably one of the best opportunities within the space. Like in terms of like long-term longevity, it's not like ROI factors. It's like, where do I see Q&T within like 10 years, right? Like that's the main thing. Like I've been talking about Q&T a lot, and when I say like Q&T to like 10K or like even 100K, like people still laugh. But like when you look at Q&T and kind of compare it to like Bitcoin in its early days, it's almost a very similar structure. Hold on, guys, I just need a drink of water. So let me see. Any updates on XSwap? Hey, Nick. Thanks for the perspective over the years. Hey, no problem, man. I appreciate it, Robert. Can we get an opinion on AMP, the stablecoin, or VET? So I actually stayed away from AMP just simply because of the coin supply and market cap of it. I just seen better opportunities, and the same kind of goes for VET. Like, I think the days of getting in early on VET are kind of over, so I kind of stay away from it, and I look for other opportunities, like almost similar to XDC. So yeah. You have moved away from LCX. This is still very, very good, strong low cap token. No, LCX, I haven't moved away from it. I just I 10x'd over my investment on LCX. So when we look at LCX, like that was one that you should have at least one taken profit and reinvested into it, or taken profit and kind of looked at other opportunities. But LCX definitely will continue to have a nice run ahead. So yeah. What do you think is going to happen to Deaton's lawsuit for all the peeps he represents? Well, in terms of that class action lawsuit, when we look at like the current SEC lawsuit, if we do see a settlement, those individuals that are a part of that class action lawsuit that the SEC has harmed, there will definitely be repercussions for the SEC. And I think that that's going to be a very, very big litigation case. What's your take in CoinView Cap CVC? I've honestly no idea what that even means, to be completely honest with you. Like, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I don't know what that means. But with that being said, I'm all caught up in terms of the chat. Thank you for everyone who has stopped by. I do greatly appreciate all of you. If you guys did enjoy the video or the live stream, definitely hit that like, subscribe to notifications on. If you guys do want more free content, you guys already know the deal. You can check out the Twitter and the Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.